Yeah. What's good with the YouTube with Conference Perspective? It's your boy, Big Flacco. And as always, you already know, smashing, dashing, sliding on through, a little bit of energy. So we had another viewer submission, and this was a little bit different, man. It was from a Norteño out there in the East Bay and wanted to tell us and discuss how life is out there in the East Bay and why there's never been established regiments. And in reading this letter, or this story, it kind of makes a lot of sense for my personal dealings and experience with the East Bay. A lot of cutthroat stuff goes on out there, man. So I'm gonna let Rojo get to this article and we're gonna discuss this afterwards.
No doubt, no doubt. Okay, here we go. First and foremost, saludos and respetos. I was involved in the mix in the East Bay and want to discuss the reason why a regiment has never had a strong presence. Back in the day, most of those who carried weight in the East Bay, like Night Owl from Dakota, Bandit from Hayward, Osa from Hayward, Wedo D, Spider, Menudo, Charlie O, etc., and others all had names on the streets. The problem was most of these individuals either did not stay out or were dope fiends. I say that in an unbiased fashion, as I know most, if not all. To be from the heart of the East Bay, it is survival mode, as there is a lot of moving players and a strong presence of Black factions. Most of us had to adapt to our environment, and even when we hit prison, it always felt like we were not trusted or were categorized as different. We didn't have good leaders. Most of them, due to drug use, were in conflict with each other. So as ends, we just did us. Not many Norteños from other areas can relate to cooking crack at a trap spot or curb serving just to survive at the age of 12. In order to survive, we grew accustomed to the East Bay way of life. We didn't report red on red. We settled court in the streets, and it would be common to see an active rocking with the inactive. Many times regiments were established, but the same results. I remember Nick came to get at us about assisting and instead got high off some H and started to nod out. Out here, it's a whole nother beast. We shoot first, ask questions later, and how are we going to have people getting at us about contributing when we have been doing this stuff to survive when most kids our age just learned how to tag their names? Don't get me wrong, we Norteños, but that's the extent of it. We keep it to our circles and trust no one. You hear stories of Bandit being arrested and dragged at a motel and Night Owl having his lady pull tricks to get high. For us, we know what we have to do once locked up, but the politics have no influence on the streets. We hear stuff about Salinas and Tulare County, but these East Bay streets are a cutthroat game. That shit won't work out here. We feel our money is our money. You ain't spilt the blood, or put in that work, and most of us will be damned if we're gonna let another man dictate what we do. Especially when, no disrespect, these cats with status are druggies who will just as fast cross someone up to cover their ass. You had a allegedly C out here whose lady was fucking all the homies, including other cats with status. No one trips or cares. I rep that Norte when I get locked up, but East Bay ends are laced different in these streets, and most of us know how to stay out of politics. Even the white boys out here operate different. The water different out here. You got to operate like it's drought season 24/7. So before people judge us, recognize how this shit really be out here. Not many can get on our level, and that's why we do what we do. Respects to the game, East Bay way of life, where anyone can get it.
You know, that's kind of like self-explicit when you deal with the East Bay, man.
I agree fully, bro. Yeah.
I was out there in the East Bay, man. When I dropped out and everything, like a couple years later, man, and I was in the D game. I was out there in Hayward. I was out there in Oakland, running into all kinds of different cats, man. And it's a cutthroat game out there, man. You know what I'm saying? You got to be strapped. You know what I'm saying? You can barely trust. You could be from the same hood and still have rival factions within your hood sometimes out there. It's like you have your own little circles. You know what I'm saying? And about the people that he's talking of status, I know every one of those individuals.
So do
you know
I.
what I'm saying? You know, Bandit, he did get caught and dragged at a motel. You know what I'm saying?
I've tried to work with a couple of those individuals when I was on the streets, bro, and it was just it was a waste of time.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I had to go do a pickup one time with Oso and Menudo, you know what I'm saying? And when I got to Oso's pad, you know what I'm saying? I asked him for a lighter. He had about 30 lighters, none of them worked. You know what I'm saying? Like, they just operate different out there. They're cutthroat, they're with the shit. You know what I'm saying? And that's where I get the people that are of status out there, you know what I'm saying? Some of them have used their status for their own benefits at times, if that makes sense. Because when you get to the county jail, you hear these same individuals, they're bumping heads. You know what I mean? Over some money, over a woman, over all kinds of stuff, man. So a lot of the youngsters out there, you know what I'm saying, they're out there just doing them. They're out there getting money. They're putting in work. They hear about the rumors and rumblings of other areas that talk bad about the East Bay sometimes. It does happen. So a lot of times that they get judged because they have to adapt to a whole different type of animal out there. You know what I mean? They're dealing with a lot more Africanos. The game is a whole lot different out there where your best friend will shoot you in the back real quick. So when you live in an environment like that, you're gonna acclimate to it. I've heard stories of homeboys out there, you know what I mean, in the 30s and 20s out there, you know what I mean? At a young age, cooking crack, out there curb serving. You don't go to San Jose or Salinas, you don't really see that type of activity. And they have to compete with all these other groups. I mean, the Bisons are with the business out there, man. You know what I'm saying? The Bisons are out there with gold grills and stuff, Yeah. It's a whole different animal, man. And not that there's not any good homeboys that come out of there. There is. But if you live down the East Bay, if you ran around on the East Bay, you're going to understand everything that this individual just wrote. It's really like that out there.
Yeah. I can speak from experience, man. Being out on the streets a few times as a B, as a C. And, the first time I ever came out on the streets as a bro, I tried to establish some things. And it was a nightmare, bro. People, they just weren't trying to hear it at all. And I get it. My county, Cocoa County, was always really weak up until the late 90s, bro, as far as homeboys went in the education level and the willingness to conform to the expectations that comes with being a homie. You know what I mean? And, there's groups from Concord, groups from Pittsburgh, and even Concord still to this day, bro. They balance a lot of, are they gang banging? Are they dope dealing? Are they family people? Every day is different from them out there. They're living multiple different lives, bro. And it's real hard to get anybody that's living in basically multiple lifestyles. They're gang members on Saturday, Friday night and Saturday night. They're in the gang. The rest of the week, they don't answer their phone. They go to work. They do all this shit. And then you got the dudes who slang D for a living. They're not trying to share their, they've worked hard to establish their little businesses and stuff, bro. They're not trying to come into the regiment and have to start kicking in. You know what I mean? They're not going to do that, bro. So it was difficult, bro. All the way up until like my last time when I got up in 98, things were a lot better. You know what I mean? I met a few good individuals. And that's why I primarily, when I've talked about things, man, is I always focused on other people that weren't necessarily gang members to participate. You know what I'm saying? Because, if I'm going to be successful, man, out there with limited soldado manpower, and it's not even limited, it's just the quality's limited at the time, I might as well open up to people who can't really tell on me in such an extent if I get in trouble. It was rough out there. They're on par. A lot of them hoods now, they're on par now, especially Pittsburgh. You know what I mean? Pittsburgh used to be all tweaker homeboys and weirdos, bro. And now they're with the business. Concord's still the same. The East Bay, the closer East Bay, like Oakland, Hayward, Dakota and stuff, they're different. Everybody's different.
You know what I noticed about those areas is you can go in East Oakland and it's like its own little world right there in the 30s and 20s. They're unaffected by what's going on in Hayward or what's going on in Fremont. Mm-hmm. This is their world. This is their life. They're in this little domain. Yeah. The same thing in Hayward. You know what I'm saying? They're running in spots from South Hayward to North Hayward. That's their little circle. Same thing in Dakota. Dakota, they're going to be more on, you know what I mean? Fremont side, or they're going to be more in Hayward. They operate a little differently in these little cuts. Yeah. I personally experienced, I personally seen it when I was out there, man. Like, you go in the 30s and 20s or other parts of Oakland, it's its own little animal, its own little way of life. They're not affected by what's going on in Hayward. They don't even care. You go to Hayward, everybody's either in Hayward, San Leandro, Castro Valley. They're all running that same circle as well. But no one really you have different calibers of manpower out there. You have those that are strictly like hustlers, you know what I mean? Getting their money, and they have their circles very, very, very small.
Yeah.
Then you have those individuals out there that are literally with the shit. They'll shoot you, they'll jack you in a heartbeat over anything. You know what I'm saying? You'll see cats that are straight active and inactive rocking with each other that have that same mentality. They're kicking in doors and they're jacking people. You know what I'm saying? So like when I was out there, I knew a lot of active cats, man. You know what I'm saying? And they didn't really care as much because I was just doing my own thing. You know what I'm saying? Running around, you know what I mean? Running around with my pistol, you know what I mean? And so when you get into an environment, man, people, places, and things are going to dictate how you react. So if you live in the East Bay, you're going to adapt to how the lifestyle is. And out there, it's like, it's very fast paced. You know what I mean? A lot of dudes out there, they're fucking either high on dope or they're fucking off that black, and they're doing whatever they got to do to get their hustle on, man. You know, and they're always looking for easy targets out there. You know what I'm saying? If you have any type of weakness, anything that could be exposed, anything of that nature, someone's going to come knocking. You know, and they'll set you up in a heartbeat out there. So I get what the homeboy's saying. The water's different out there. It's not that they're not Nortenos. It's not that they're not with the business, but they've adjusted to how things are out there. And that's why they've never really had a strong presence out there in the East Bay. Even when fucking Happy was out in that area, most of his manpower that were working with him were from other areas. You know, it's really hard to get any homeboy out there to really want to work with the reg. It's always a couple bros, and usually what those bros do is they will align their hood that they a select few that they trust to work with them. I've seen that over and over again when Camperamos was plugged with them. You know what I mean? Then you had the homies from Dakota. But some of those cats, man, that you do time with, they're rock solid, they were seasoned, they were laced up when you were in prison. But as soon as they got to the streets, man, they were on that gaga, or they were twisting the pipe. You know, not one of those names that was mentioned, can I say, was out there sober, bro.
No.
You know what I mean? And that's the reality of it. I mean, they was out there, their whole demeanor changes, and a lot of them, they're out there pushing their status, bro. You know, a few of those dudes got into conflict with each other. Spider and Menudo, they were getting in conflict with each other in the streets and in the county jail. Happy deemed both of them no good. Says, I don't want to deal with this shit. A wrap. That's just how it is out there, man.
Yeah, hey, I tell you what, man, there's a lot of times when, you know, I'd meet people inside of either Contra Costa Jail, Santa Rita, or Quentin on the 6th yard, and I'd be like, hey, man, fucking, I'm gonna be out real soon, man. You want to get something cracking? You want to, you know, work? Yeah. Bro, the first day they're out, man, I get a call, be able to slide through there maybe that night. They're already high as shit. You know what I mean? Talking about some lame shit, bro. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, I'm glad you're out, bro. And
I got a whole bunch of credit cards. Whoa.
Oh, yeah, bro, you've only been out since noon, bro. You know what I mean? Like, your whole gate money's gone. You know, you got that weird look in your eye. Nah, man, I'm cool, man. A lot of people that I've been time on the 6th yard with that I thought would really be able to be assets, bro. I get out, disappointing, man. You know, but it's not even really them. It's their environment. You know what I'm saying? It's the way that they've been their whole life. They go to jail, represent to the fullest. You know what I mean? Everybody from everywhere, bro, always comes in there on the 6th yard representing and give that be all you can be type mentality. Man, as soon as they get out, bro, that's gone. You know what I mean? It's just not like other places, bro. It's different. They go to jail and handle their business. You know, they even do that in Contra Costa now.
That's a common theme out there in the East Bay with these youngsters that are out there that are staying solid, that are not using dope, that are getting their money on, getting their hustle on. They see these homeboys that come out with status that are trying to establish things that are high on dope.
Yeah.
So of course they're going to reject it, man.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. They think, man, I've worked really hard and established, you know, my own personal suppliers, whether it be the Pisces or other homeboys, whatever the case might be. I've got my clientele, and you're going to come out here just because you have status and basically punk me, you know. And the thing with people from the East Bay is they're not really acknowledging none of that stuff on the streets. In jail, they're going to respect the authority in charge and play by the book. But on the streets, they're like, man, fuck that dude. They don't give a fuck about that dude.
Bro, even in the county jail, I was hearing stories about their leadership getting high in there, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I wouldn't doubt it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I thought I was gonna fall over in the chair just now. I wouldn't doubt it. I didn't see it so much at my county. You know, Santa Rita is a whole different animal. But when I was in Santa Rita, I was always on the parole violator side. So, you know, motherfuckers would play different, especially when I showed up. They'd be like, "Oh man, here's this motherfucker." You know, so they act accordingly. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
I can't even imagine the main part of Santa Rita with what they would have going on, because it's a whole different animal. I've been around all kinds of homeboys, and they're different, bro. The East Bay has always been a challenge as far as, you know, there's manpower, there's hitters, there's
and you know
gangsters,
what?
there's hella money.
And you know what out there, bro? This is the truth, man. A lot of the cats that weren't active out there were the ones, I'm not gonna say harder than the actives, but there were some inactive cats out there that were straight with the fucking shit, man. You know what I mean? Fabian, DT, what's his name? Black Dre, you know what I mean? All these cats when I was out there, man, these dudes were with the fucking shit, bro. You know what I'm saying? And they weren't playing around. You know, Looney and all these other cats, and you know what I'm saying? Skinny. All these cats were out there, they're strapped, they're not active, and they didn't care. You know what I'm saying? But then you would also see them fucking with active cats. You know what I'm saying? So it's just a whole nother animal. Unless you lived in it and experienced it, you would understand. I was out there, man. I was running around Hayward. I was running around Oakland, Dakota, all those areas, man. You know what I'm saying? With a target on my back. And a lot of times people didn't trip. You know what I'm saying? Because they're not really on that trip. If you didn't fuck with me, I ain't fucking with you.
Yeah.
And that's just how it is. They leave it there. They leave everything on the streets. If they want to get you, they're going to come knocking. But it's going to have to be over some personal issues, or you got something they want. There's always people plotting. You know what I'm saying? There's always people trying to figure out how to get this or what you got. You know what I'm saying? And there's always that backdoor shit where they're using females out there to set motherfuckers up. You know what I'm saying? Not just that, though. Some of them will be plugged in with other races. They'll get your information and get plugged in with you. And next thing you know, they're going to give it to these guys over here to go deal with it. They're getting their cut. So there's all kinds of shady shit going on out there, man.
Yeah, back in the 90s, man, if you were a DO defector, just a no good, as long as you didn't have funny charges, we kind of turned the other cheek always, unless there was a specific directive to me from in there. We just see you and just be like, keep on pushing. You know what I mean? It was irrelevant to us about all that stuff. Nowadays they'll fuck you up, but back then
we were told we could sell
didn't care.
dope to them. No, when I was active, we were told specifically that we could, if they didn't do certain crimes, you know what I'm saying, like commit a crime against the people, as far as like, you know, shed blood, you know, of one of our elders, or if they didn't have no paperwork on them, we could fuck with them on the dope game. Those were straight directives I was given. You know, so it all comes down to this: how beneficial and lucrative you are. But out there, it's not even that, man. Like you have a hard enough time trying to trust homies you've been knowing for 20 years. You know what I'm saying? It's just, like I said, man, there's a lot of good homeboys out there too, but the smart ones are the ones that just do them. Focus on getting their money and securing themselves. And they're not with all that riffraff bullshit.
Yeah, as far as the area where I'm from, it's kind of calmed down over the years because less homies are dope fiends now. You know, back when I was first coming up, most of the homies were drug addicts. You know what I mean? And nowadays, that's the few and far between that there's a homeboy that's, you know, on the Scante or the Black or whatever. Mostly everybody's sober, hustling, whoop-de-whoop-de-whoop. But it was real hard back then because it seemed like every single person out of the East Bay, and I'm not saying all of them, but all the ones that I can think of right now in my head were drug addicts, bro. All of them, bro. All of them. You know? It was a rough place, man. It was a rough place. The regiment I had was selected out of a big area, bro. 1 or 2 from Hayward, 1 or 2 from Dakota, 1 from Fremont, 4 or 5 from Concord, 3 or 4 from Pittsburgh, 1 or 2 from Antioch, 5 or 6 from Sonoma County. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that's how I had to do it because that's what was available, that were reliable, that could function in the way the least expectations to be met. You know, I was the most chillest dude in the world, man. I wasn't no damn drill sergeant. You know what I mean? I'm easy to get along with, bro. And man, the bare minimum, bro. That was the bare minimum for the bare minimum right there, bro. Real talk.
Yeah.
Finding somebody who ain't on drugs, finding somebody who ain't gonna tell, finding somebody who's familiar enough with, the objectives of the group as a whole. That's rough out there, bro, because they're not going to meet all three of them criteria in one way or another. And like I'm saying, people from the East Bay, they're not bad, they're not weak, they're not nothing. They're just different.
Yeah.
They'll play the game to the fullest, locked up. They'll book you. They'll write beautiful essays. They'll talk big things. As soon as they get back on the streets, it's all about them, their homies in the hood, and getting their money.
Yep.
Or getting high. If I would have been one of them types of dudes to deem people, to just strike people up left and right for their transgressions, fucking half the East Bay would be getting booked, bro. Real talk. Sad but true.
Yeah.
All the letdowns, runoffs, failure to follow through with things that you've said you're going to do, et cetera, et cetera. Not the worst transgressions in the world, but anybody else, they'd be all bad.
Yeah.
And it's just the differences. I'm used to that 6-yard Pelican Bay education, that direction, that all that stuff. And then I get out there and I'm dealing with, it seems like they go from being in these shoes in these ad segs to going back to being level 1 first termers. Like,
yeah, I seen that, bro.
I don't know what to do, bro.
I seen that, man, because I was messing with a certain individual carnal out there, bro. And when I went to go pick up, when he got hemmed up, I went to go pick the shit up. The money was owed because I was fronting him work. Man, that's how I had to get a hold of Oso and them, man. They were given to me to go help collect these debts. And I was like, what the fuck is going on out here, man? You know what I'm saying? I learned it later on how, when I went out there, man, but just some of the things that I seen, man, it was just a whole different trip, man, compared to how San Jose and all that was back then. Even San Jose is different like that now, though. Like, that environment's changed a little bit currently. You know what I'm saying? Same type of behaviors a little bit. Not as bad as the East Bay. You know what I'm saying? San Francisco has a little bit, San Francisco cats be getting their money. And they like to keep their circles tight-knit as well. But Oakland, it's more tight-knit for security reasons, safety reasons. And they're not the deepest faction out there. The blacks are. You know what I'm saying? The blacks are, and the blacks are with the business out there in the streets as well. So it's a revolving game, man, about just staying on top of your toes, man, because a lot of good dudes out there that were with the shit. And what I mean by the shit, they're shooters. You know what I'm saying? You only last so long when you're out there. That's why there's a lot of dead bodies out there, a lot of dead homies, because that's how the game is out there. And a lot of times, man, it's over some smirky shit out there, man. Believe it or not, it's over some of the most pettiest shit that you've ever thought of.
No, I agree, bro. I've tried, I've been there. And, even in retrospect, before and after, my times as RC, whatever my position might have been at any given time, the East Bay is just different, man. I'm more like a Salinas homie, bro. And that's just because that's how I was programmed on the 6-yard. That's how I was programmed in the Bay. Super serio. This is what I do 24 hours a day. Everything's to meet this ultimate direction. And so when I get out, even as a young man, bro, I was a youngster running things, bro. I would just be like, what the fuck?
I mean, Pocky and Powder were able to establish shit out there for a minute, though, bro. You know what I'm saying? They had the Metro store out there. They had a couple good dudes that were working with them, but even those dudes were fucking high like a motherfucker. They just turned the cheek. You know what I'm saying? They were allowing them to operate.
Sometimes you have to, bro. In order for the greater good, sometimes you have to. You can't. That was my thing with never deeming hella people on the streets. I've had to deem 2 people on the streets, 3. I almost forgot about Chavo. I've only had to deem 3 people ever. You know what I mean? On the guys. And if I would have deemed everybody who deserved deeming, it'd probably be 20 plus, bro. But so I had to turn the other cheek in order to not, man, you go after one person, something goes wrong, you can't get them, they're telling. You know what I'm saying? They're little influence in their hood because, man, out there, man, hoods are important. They go over the prison group a lot of times. You know what I mean? So you parole from the street, the NF and the NR and stuff, it doesn't matter as much as your hood. You know what I mean? That's a lot of them dudes' philosophies, especially the ones that ain't had a lot of homeboys go to the pen. So if you green light one of the dudes from their hood, man, that whole hood's probably not going to mess with you now. You
Yeah.
know, so I mean, it's you gotta. It's a touch and go. Every day's a new day out there, bro. It doesn't. You're not just gonna. It ain't gonna be like Salinas where, you know, things are gonna operate somewhat smoothly because everybody knows what time it is. Their mom knows what time it is. Their dad, their grandma, their grandpa, their uncles, their cousins, and everybody's encouraging them to do the right thing.
Yeah.
As far as the group goes, it's man in the East Bay. They're in the East Bay. This is what they're telling you, man. Fuck them dudes. Fuck Rojo. You know what I mean? F Tibbs, F Corny. They don't give a fuck about none of that. When they go to prison, they do. 1, 2, 3. When they get on the streets, it's a church. You know, bro. You've been out
Yeah,
there.
I know, bro.
It's weird. That place was rough, bro. The only reason I was successful out there was Mexican Mike and maybe 6 other dudes that I knew from before I went to prison. You know, were they homies? Fucking barely homies. You know what I mean? They might have tagged their name on the wall. No, but were they real gangsters? No, not at all.
Yeah.
And that's just what I had to work with. I made it happen, you know, but you know, it was basically luck. It wasn't because I had this awesome talent pool to choose from.
Sometimes that's all it takes, man. Anyways, you know, this is about all we have to say about the East Bay at this time, man. It's just this was an interesting story, man. And to me, man, like we've got a few stories to where like you can kind of question whether it's factual or not. This is actually all true stuff that I know of as well.
Yeah.
There's nothing that I can sit there and dispute, man. This is the mindset out there, man. Anyways, this is Flacco with the convict's perspective. My co-host Big Rojo. You guys all have a good day.